And we're back. Mike Cernovich, new beginnings, new ends. I've been telling people for a while, and anybody with any kind of self-awareness realizes that the political stuff I don't like, haven't liked for a long time. I did my duty as the Romans did. We don't talk about duty in America anymore, but I did my duty and I'm done. Why? Largely because of toxicity from my own side. I just don't like a lot of the people who follow me. I don't like the negativity. I don't like the entitledness. It's just a very toxic group of people. So I have the benefit of doing what I want to do and not doing that anymore, but that's that. So we are pivoting back to where I began, which is mindset, lifestyle, living a better life. So we want your questions. So we got the studio set up. I got a great special guest. So we're going to go live, not live. We're going to do pre-recorded podcasts in about 15 minutes once I end this. So what are your non-political questions? No politics. If you follow my Instagram, no politics on Instagram. This podcast, zero politics. And in 2019, all of my streams will have no politics. Why? Because I just don't like political people. I think they're nasty. I don't think they want to improve themselves. I think they focus on dumb, trivial issues. They're not into as a rule, and I don't have to pander to people. That's the beautiful thing about my life is I don't have to pander to anyone. So if I don't like who's reading me, I just say, I don't like you who's reading me, and I block people, and then people message me, can't believe you blocked me. Oh my God. You're not entitled to read me. Right? And if you've actually read Guerrilla Mindset, and most political people never have, you would realize I have an abundant mindset. I'm just like, I'll write about other things and I'll have new people. And I believe in the law of attraction. So getting into politics, I think I've sent off negative energy to the universe that's been reflected back into me with negative people. And by the way, this is not a Trump thing. This is left, right, you name it. Just 90% of people into politics are just sickening, toxic people. It isn't even a partisan issue. It's just like a disease or something. And rather than talk about what I don't want to do, I just talk about new things. I've done it for many, many years. So I had the #1 lifestyle blog and podcast years ago. And then I pivoted into, to save the world essentially from World War III. And that was my goal, to save the world from Hillary Clinton and what she would have done, just the warmongering and whatnot. And so then my mindset people were mad that I got into politics, but I just did it. And now a lot of the politics people are going to be mad that I'm going back into mindset, but I just don't care. I don't care what you think I should be doing, I guess is the point. So people who want to head in the right direction in 2019 are welcome to, and people who don't, I'll just block you if you complain and you don't like it. But the collaborative nature of what we do is what I enjoy most, and we're going to keep doing. The collaborative nature is what do you want to learn about life? What is a positive direction that everyone can go towards in 2019? And that's what we're here to do. So I'm going to go ahead and, read some of your questions and let me know what your podcasts are. Great haircut. Thank you. It's actually a little short. I usually don't like the lot because then they'll try to take a picture of me like this and do to me what they did to Gavin, even with the haircut. They'll frame you with anything. So, what would you guys like to, a networking podcast is good. Yeah, networking. So we'll add that. We're gonna do a bunch today, and then we're gonna release some. We're gonna release some like in a sequence in a new one. So, Derek, self-actualization. Elaborate, Derek, because I read your tweets and you're one of the positive people that I like when you tweet at me. So what do you mean by self-actualization? We're monitoring your comments in real time. Book reviews, I agree. More book reviews. Absolutely. More book reviews. Office of Mike, who's a very good friend of mine, says, do you not want to do politics because we're at a hopeless point? Ultimately, fundamentally, in life, you have to just look around at who's around you. And when I think about people who I actually like, they're the mindset people. And when I think about the people I don't like, they're the political people, the trivial, small-time thinkers. And it's just the way it is. So for me, now in terms of hopelessness, Trump isn't has lost my support. I've said this repeatedly. And then people yell at me because I'm supposed to support Trump. Like, but why? Trump's never given me a dollar. And then they'll go, oh, so it's all about the money to you. It's like, no, no, no. Why do I have to support Trump? Right? Well, you have to. And they're always anonymous accounts too. I'm on the front lines, very public, going in public all the time, holding public events. And then I'm being lectured by people who won't even have their real names attached to their accounts, telling me what I need to do, more of what I need to do. And I just don't like that, right? It's kind of like if you're in a relationship. You're like, I just don't like this person I'm waking up to. So you just leave, just in the relationship. So now, so Trump, yeah, I definitely don't support Trump. He doesn't support his supporters. And so I don't respect him as a man. If that triggers you, oh no, more people might unfollow me. Oh my gosh. I love that when people like, you rode the Trump wave. My life was way better before the Trump nonsense. Go look at my Instagram 3, 4, 5 years ago. The kind of life I was living. Way better than it is in the Trump world. You can just literally just go look at my Instagram from 3 years ago and then try to tell me with a straight face that I use the Trump people to somehow improve my life. Go right ahead and do that, right? So that's the whole point. The whole point of all of this. So anyway, but enough of the Trump stuff. I don't really care. What do you guys want to talk about that is not political? Manifesting your future. That's a good one. We'll write that down. Self-actualization. Elaborate more on that, Derek. What do you mean by that? My journey overcoming toxicity. That's a great point. Is toxic people. I'm actually planning a big discussion on that because I went to DC and one toxic spiritual vampire ruined an entire $250,000 event, destroyed it. One person. And most people don't realize, because here's what happens. You want to be nice so you don't purge the toxic, but by being nice to toxic people, you're being mean to everyone else. Do you understand? Does that make sense? You mistreat other people when you're nice to people who don't belong in the room. You need to just kick people out of the room. It's like, no, you're a bad person. You have to just leave. You're gone. Peace out. That's actually being nice because you're being nicer to everyone else. If you let one person in because you're the good guy and you don't want to hurt feelings and step on toes, you end up destroying the lives of, all kinds of other people. So we will be doing that in detail because you have to be ruthless in your personal life and the people who are around you. And you can never build a network out if you have toxic people around you, because one person can ruin everything, ruin an event, ruin a whole country. Will Chambers says, yep, yeah, Will knows who I'm talking about. So he knows exactly. I'm not going to, go into details about who it is because it doesn't really matter who it is. What matters is the impact the toxic can truly have. Creativity. Okay, that's a good one. We'll talk about that. Healthy habits. I feel like that's been done 1,000 times by 1,000 different people. I sort of want to talk about subjects that aren't talked about broadly enough. So yeah, we're looking for those. How to live off the grid. I don't really live off the grid though. There's YouTube channels on that. Yeah, there's YouTube channels on that. But creativity is a good one because I don't think it's treated well or the way it should be. Active listening. That's a good one. There's not a lot of good conversations on that. We'll take like 5 more. So let me hear. What do you want to talk about? Not political right now. I'll read it right now. Napoleon Hill's effect on your future decisions. Napoleon Hill has some good stuff. Maybe we'll do that. How to adult better? Well, the first would be to quit using adult as a verb. That's like a generational thing. I'm adulting, right? I'm adulting. So number one way to adult better, don't use expressions like I'm adulting, and try to not be sarcastic so much. There's like a sarcasm epidemic. There was actually one, I remember I went out to dinner with people. This was like 5 or 6 years, no, 10 years ago. And we're eating, people were like, this girl was like, oh, it's terrible. And I was like, who are these weird, what do you mean? Who are these weirdos? So the sarcasm, and I'm sometimes sarcastic too. Nobody's immune from the epidemic, but try to eliminate sarcasm in your interactions with people. Like if you go out and you're having dinner, but I'll tell you why, sarcasm's nihilistic. Most people don't understand the link between sarcasm and spiritual nihilism and aesthetics. Peter Duke Photos here, he can tell you about that. So sarcasm exists because you're afraid to admit that beauty exists. So if you have a beautiful experience, rather than say, I'm in awe, this is a beautiful experience, you go, oh, terrible. Oh, that was because you're trying to be above it all. And that above it all-itis is part of the war on beauty that's happening in America and throughout the Western world. So don't use sarcasm, or if you do use it sparingly, and avoid people, oh, this is terrible dinner. And by the way, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. It's not even clever. But look into the deeper spiritual roots of sarcasm, and you realize that it's used by death worshipers and people who hate the beautiful, and they want to disregard and discard the beauty. Discard how to fight nihilism. That I think that's a great podcast. The reason nihilism exists within is because we live in a nihilistic society, right? So here's my pet peeve about the two gender crowd, and I'm not getting political. I'm going aesthetic. Is I see all these men. Oh, there are only two genders. I'm like, bro, you don't lift. Like, you don't have your life in order. So if you only believe there are two genders, and you believe masculinity and femininity are polarizing forces, but you don't even like lift or take care of yourself, maybe do that, right? Maybe get a BJJ blue belt. Maybe, do this toxic masculine stuff rather than, argue with people, but your whole life isn't over. I'm actually even thinking too about a trip to the DMV I took. And because I'm rarely out in the public world. Like my world is curated. That's another thing. You have to curate your world like you have a bonsai tree or something. I curate my world. I went to the DMV and I was looking around and I said, there's no man in here that I'm afraid of. And that's a problem. I'm 41 years old. Right? I should be afraid of everyone. Young men, like if you were in the Spartan 300, once you hit over 30, you couldn't even be part of the most elite guard around the king because there are biological realities to aging. So when I go out and about, I'm like, dude, I'm not afraid of this next generation. You guys, right? That's a problem. But because it tells you that, because men should be scary. That's just men destroy, men create. And if you don't have the negative, you don't have the positive. Masculinity is controlled aggression. So when I go out, I'm like, well, I'm not even afraid of these guys. What are these people doing with their lives? That tells you where we are culture-wide. So rather than people arguing about two genders, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I've always thought it was a dumb thing. Who cares, right? If people want to be trans, who cares? What does it hurt you to call somebody bi? Who cares? There are such bigger issues that if that's your, but by the way, if that is your issue, then why don't you conform to those traditional gender stereotypes, right? If you want to be the guy on the internet, on Reddit, arguing with people, which says a lot in and of itself, that's like what you want to do with your time. Oh, there are only two genders. Like if that's how you want to spend your time, that says a lot. But why don't you conform to traditional conceptions of what you believe to be the masculine, right? Let's see. That's what I mean about it. It just really is really spirituality. We'll talk about. Somebody says, I unfollowed you for a week and now I'm back. The Trump stuff was wearing, even if correct. Well, I don't really have time for people who don't like the truth. I don't really have time for people who don't have the truth. Don't have time for the truth. So, but that's what I do is I share my message. People can follow or not. The two gender stuff people are saying is a problem for your kids. The whole world is fallen though. You're a religious man. I happen to know your religious background. We live in a fallen world, and there'll always be spiritual warfare and aesthetic warfare against people. And your job is to educate your children and let them know that we are in this world, but not of this world, and truly, what that means. Yeah, so we'll take a couple more. I already did a podcast with Michael Malice. I'll do a podcast with Michael Malice anytime. So I think we have enough. All right, friends, I think we have enough. I don't want to lose my voice in this Periscope because I want to actually record it. So if you have a couple more, Just pound them out. Let me hear you. Love the haircut. Thank you. Let me know what your questions are. Please get an MMA. Well, maybe as a podcast, I've done enough of that. I could have miles on my body for 2 lifetimes. You missed my old podcast on semiotics. Yeah, we're going to do that too. Symbolism, that sort of stuff. Ideas to fix America, fix yourself, bro. Right? I've always said that. Change is a concentric circle. It starts with you, then it starts with your friends and family, then it starts with your community, then it starts globally or nationalistically or locally. And yeah, it really is a concentric circle. All right, my friends, thank you. We have a lot of great conversations. I'll be recording in the studio all day, and we will get them out when we can get them out. Thanks for watching. Updates will be at cernovich.com, which is my website. Cernovich.com, cernovich.com. You ought to bookmark it anyway, because, every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, is this the day they've internet murdered me? So in theory, they could internet murder my site, although there's nothing even political on it. You never know, but that will be sort of the last of me. You'll have that until they internet murder me, which, again, any day now, they could. Thanks for watching. Cernovich.com.